All right, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg, I think.
Well, we're in Vegas, so
Yeah.
you know.
Well, actually, is all that oxygen pumping? I actually could be somebody on the floor right now hallucinating.
Well, keep hallucinating, and that's good for this show at least. But we are the CRM Playaz.
Effectively.
Vegas, Oracle MCX. This is good stuff.
Wait a minute. Oh, I thought this was a concert and DMX. DMX.
No, DMX. Don't think
This isn't
he's
a DM
here.
Oh,
Anyway, DMX isn't here, but we do have Rob Tarkoff.
better.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that comparison. That's good.
Better.
Well, we're going to do some rapping tomorrow. You're not included in that, but
okay.
but feel free to stop by.
Yeah, I might come by.
But Rob, thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
He is the EVP and GM of Oracle CX. Very cool.
Thank you.
And a man I have known for what, 15 years? I think
It
you.
makes us both seem
Well,
very
no,
old when we talk about that.
no. I was 11. You were 4.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Back, I think we first met when I was at Adobe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly
Wow.
when it was. We had a phone call, and I was mad at all you guys.
Yep.
I still remember saying, you can't talk about experience the way you're talking about it.
Yeah.
But you know what? You went ahead and proved me wrong.
2000. I want to say it was 2006 or 7.
6.
6.
It was 6.
Yeah.
It's exactly right. So it's what, 13 years?
Yeah. Wow. Right. There we go. Yes.
Well, talk about experience.
Yeah.
But before we jump too far, and one of the things I enjoyed you actually did before the keynote, you also did a little thing for the analyst group.
Yeah.
And you popped up a slide with Harrison Barnes' jersey on it. And I remember Harrison Barnes spoke at Lithium when
That's
you
right.
were at Lithium.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I got a chance to meet the guy.
That's where I first got to meet him too. So he was actually a friend of the founder of Cloud. And he had been a big Cloud Score user and a big Cloud sort of early athlete
Joe Fernandez.
adopter. Yeah, Joe Fernandez, an early adopter of Cloud in terms of reputation management for an athlete. So yeah, and I was so impressed. We all knew he was a great basketball player, but as you probably talked to him too, I mean, he was such an unbelievably curious person about business and about, the world of technology and about social and all those things. So I just, immediately was like, this guy's my favorite player.
Yeah, you know what? I think
Yeah.
when Brent and I were talking about him, I literally wanted to adopt him.
Yeah.
He
I
did
swear
say
to God,
that.
I did. I
He's
really wanted to adopt
he's
him.
a great, he is a young man.
Yeah.
But he's a great guy.
But I'll match your picture of his jersey with my picture chilling with Steve Kerr.
Oh, okay. Well, that's more impressive, maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's still a warrior, so that's
True. It's all in the
right,
family.
right. Yeah.
So you get to a lot of games?
I have been to a couple of games. Usually if I go to a game, it's taking a customer or I have one son in college. If he comes into town, we'll go to a game with the other kids because it's tough to get good seats, and they're so expensive, and they're about to
Yes.
get a lot more
I was
expensive.
going to say,
when I
you'll have
move
to
there.
actually be the GM and EVP of Oracle for another 20 years.
Yeah,
just to afford
exactly.
a
Yeah,
ticket.
I'm hoping that I'll find a way to get free tickets somehow.
Well, there's always a way.
Yeah, there is.
With it?
Seat.
Nothing's impossible.
Seat, we can get you tickets.
So, you're about 6 months in?
Right.
I remember, I think it was Open World's like your first week there or something.
Yeah, I think it was week 3 or 4. Yeah, that was a little bit crazy that they actually, it wasn't crazy that I did, it was crazy that they let me do it. But yeah, it went, when I immediately got to the company, the first thing I looked at is, and you have both said this a lot, there's so many incredible products in Oracle CX. But one of the things that I thought there was an opportunity to improve was a real story to knit it together and a narrative about what Oracle stood for. And so I spent about the first 3 weeks just in review after review after review with the engineering teams about what are you really trying to build and what are the problems you're solving. And so through the help of Des and other members of his team, and we just came up with these themes. We hashed them out for 2 days and came up with this discover, engage, consume, serve. And it's really stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been great. So I'd like to say that I invented that out of thin air. It's not true. The team really, we crowdsourced it with the leadership team in CX, and it just kind of came together. So that's been really fun. to
Well, you
have
know,
some-
it genuinely works, and especially works for Oracle in particular. I mean, it really does fit your suite. One of the things that I think, well, I know I can speak for several analysts, let's just say. I mean, one of the things that used to concern a bunch of us about Oracle was that they always had, as always was, good products, but it was a technology stack, and the world was moving to ecosystems and platforms, not stacks. And Oracle lagged because of that. But when you came here, aside from the fact you generated this enormous amount of immediate excitement and enthusiasm, I'm not kidding. I'm not saying that because we know each other a long time. I'm saying that because I know it from the employees I've known here at Oracle for
Yeah, I
years.
appreciate that. That's
They
been great.
they were excited, they were happy, they were smiling, you know, and they wanted to do something, right? And you took it, and now if this is the stack and this is the ideal state, you've gone from here to say here already, which is really fast.
That's
So-
great.
So, in that vein though, because, you know, you changing a narrative from, hi, we provide you with all these products, and here's one, and here's another, and here's another, and here's another, the narrative changes to, let's call it ecosystems and platforms, and, you know, and your emphasis, for example, on the partner community and so on, is part of the ecosystem discussion, and then you put it into real action too by what you showed today. But how have you convinced people internally? Because that's actually, the cultural aspect is the hardest thing, but you have done it. Again, I'm seeing visible
Yeah.
signs.
I'll tell you that a lot of people have asked me what's the biggest surprise in joining Oracle, and yeah, feel like I worked at every company but Oracle before. It was sort of, you know, and Oracle was always this, you know, 140,000 employees, you know, we're in every business, and I have the chance tomorrow to interview Mark Kerr on stage talking about Oracle's sales model. So you think about, we're in hardware, software, you know, digital, kind of mid-sized business, digital, large enterprise. We have vertical businesses, just basically a whole migration from on-prem to cloud, infrastructure, everything. The thing I found is Oracle is one of the more curious companies in terms of people are really curious about what's happening. The engineers are not set in their ways at all. They're actually, and I remember I saw a presentation from someone you knew 2 years ago, Shai Agassi,
Yeah, of
when he was
course.
at SAP.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like maybe 15 years ago, and he made this comment that always stuck with me. He says, when you get to be a big enough company, it's easy to drift away from this idea that you can really control your innovation agenda because you're just responding to a lot of customers. And I think SAP has gone through that cycle, or any company that reaches a scale like
Yeah.
this goes through that cycle. And so if you can get people excited about things that you can do internally, if you already have great products like we do, things you can do to bring them together, to sharpen the strategy around core cross-platform themes, pick some customers that you really want to use as the example. I mean, I'm amazed. The product and the business people at Oracle just get behind it. So if there's ever like a story of Oracle stuck in its ways, or I haven't experienced that. Now, you know, there is something to being successful in that, you know, a lot of people will come in and say, well, you got to change it. And Oracle will say, well, you know, there aren't that many $40 billion, software companies out there. So obviously Oracle's been doing something right for a long time. But I would say the most curious person in the company actually is Larry. And I get a chance to work, you know, a decent amount with him. And, you know, came out of the last earnings call that Larry is, people are impressed with how involved Larry is. I mean, I've only seen him involved, so if he wasn't involved, it wasn't a time when I was here. But he is super involved in the products, he's super involved in the strategy, and he's deeply curious about all the new things that are happening with CX. And so that just makes it a great place to be.
I gotta ask you, I'm still like, if I were one of the top 5 richest people in the world, I'd probably be away on my own island, chilling.
He has that too.
He
Hawaii.
has it,
I
but
think they call it Hawaii.
during open world, he's there, front and center. I mean, he's into it. And that just is so surprising to me that after all these years, he's still like that. He's still into it.
I would say that he's so much more into it than people appreciate, and the fact that he's into it is such a powerful weapon for Oracle, because he has such broad perspective about all these different technology trends that have happened. He's deeply technical, and he also is willing to engage and debate any topic that comes up for hours on end. And I've been involved in these discussions, and he's deeply motivated by, you know, if you think about, and I don't know him well, but if you think about the kind of expertise, you know, he's a champion sailor, fighter pilot, you know, obviously one of the most successful business people and technologists in the world, but also just deeply curious about so many different things. So I just think he's, you know, he would never strike me as the kind of person that would, you know, be on a, I mean, he has an island, but be on an island sort of not doing anything. He's just, I mean, when I'm in a meeting with him, he always reads the deck the night before. He comes with a set of prepared questions, and, you know, we launch right in. There's no preamble, and he usually goes right to the point in about 3 seconds. So
Wow,
it's
that's really
pretty
interesting.
amazing, yeah.
I probably actually wouldn't get along with him if there's no preamble. My preamble's like 30 minutes.
He has
do
less
like-
of a preamble.
Yeah, I
than
have
you,
a
I
30
say
minute
that.
You do like a
preamble,
good
man.
preamble.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, one of the other things, a lot of companies, when they talk about experience, customer experience, they really do focus heavily on the content, which is really important. But you guys not only focus on the content, but with what you're doing with, you know, data and marrying it to create experiences using data and content. Seems like that's really driving what you're doing here.
Yeah, so in addition to people at Oracle being, you know, interested in learning about a lot of new things that they wouldn't have been able to experience unless they'd been outside of Oracle, the other thing I found is just this rich heritage in data is truly an enormous asset. And so, you know, when you're, Paul and I were talking about this a little bit before, when you're at a company the scale of Oracle, you can look out and there's so many different capabilities. If you can just find the one or two things that you can really get people aligned around, you can make progress really quickly. So CX Unity, which was not an idea that I came up with, it predated me, but I immediately latched onto it because it is just this ability to manage data in ways that have been, you know, hard for a lot of other companies to do, to really build something that's not just some big data lake that nobody does anything with, but to really make it a persistent store that can be plugged into apps. Oracle has all the capabilities to do it. It was just about finding the focus to go make that happen. And so, you know, I couldn't do that. We couldn't do that at any other company. You have to, and it's funny because when I was at Adobe, when I first got there and really kind of started the enterprise business for them, it was all about design. And I remember one of the conversations we had, so boy, if we could just bring the Creative Suite concept of design into enterprise, you know, we'd do away with ugly apps. I gave a keynote to a large conference in Germany, to a bunch of German CIOs, and I talked to them about consumerization of IT, and I remember they were looking at me like, this guy from Adobe is talking about consumer apps and IT. Who is this? What are they talking about? So, like, we're a long way from that in CX, but now I think it's a data game, and so Oracle, I think, has an advantage.
Well, you know, one thing that I noticed, again, what you guys didn't really talk too much about it, was your UI is really good. I mean, it's like really, really good. And that, let's put it this way, Oracle's never been known for its UI, right, ever. And what you have right now is a genuinely high quality, incredibly clean, what seemed to be, again, I'm looking at demo, right, but what seemed to be easy to navigate UI, and somebody's put a lot of time and effort into making it that way somehow. Now, I want to go to a different place, though. And I'm going to
Can I just give one plug for Hillel Cooperman?
Of course.
So he was the one to demo that. He has been at the company about a year, came from Microsoft.
That's why I knew his
he
name.
has brought in so many incredible design resources and such design talent. We have a guy, Charlie Stab, who runs CX design, amazing, but it's becoming a core competence in Oracle now.
Wow.
So it's, and it is unusual.
Are you going to be able to take it beyond CX to the rest of the company? That's the real question.
I'm not allowed to say
Well,
anything
the
on
answer is,
that.
okay, I'll say it, yes. Okay, so, well, I don't know.
I don't know either.
No,
I only
but
focus on
let me
CX.
put it this way. I'll put this as advisor and analyst. It would be wise for you to take that to the rest of the
I
company.
will take your
Please
feedback
take
back
it
to-
into account
I'll
when
take
you
it back to my
discuss it with
colleagues.
others.
Okay.
All right, now, here's my question. So, taking your long ago employer Adobe and looking at Experience Manager now, as it is now, not as it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. 2 and 3 years ago, it was misnamed because it was a digital asset management tool. But it was a good one, but it was the digital asset management. Now it's not misnamed though, because of Sensei, which I know Oracle doesn't like names of AI.
I think
but
it's cute.
I did too. I thought it was a great name, actually.
name.
And it happens to be, as we saw a year ago, way more advanced than I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's way more advanced. And because of the Creative Cloud, because of Adobe's strategy around ecosystems and platforms, they have built a very capable, genuine, create consumable experiences and experiential marketing capability directly into Experience Manager. Now, I have never seen a competitor to that until today. You compete with that. You actually do. Like Pega, who has a system of engagement platform, doesn't have that.
Right.
You do. Okay, so, and keep in mind, we're going to be at Digital Summit next week, and we're going to ask the same question, right? So, what's the difference between what you got and what they got?
So I would say, I'm not an expert on Adobe
Just-
products, so I'll leave that to you now. I have been out of that company for
So,
a while.
let's say what's your
But I will
strategic
say,
advantage generally?
from what I can see from the outside, the differences are a couple key ones. One is, we have a much broader set of CX apps than anybody in the industry, including
Oh, yeah,
Adobe. And increasingly, the kinds of problems we're solving for customers is far beyond marketing. Marketing is increasingly a hub for that, and that's why we're building systems like CX Unity, and why we're building things like the Eloqua extension framework, and as Shashi will be talking about, who runs our marketing cloud, we're integrating products like Infinity and CX Audience into that suite. Marketing is important, but it extends a lot beyond that. So that's one, is just our breadth is much bigger. And so if you're a marketer choosing between us and any competitor, you would have to think about, how do I extend this to the rest of the CX landscape?
enough.
That's sort of one. Two is data, and I want to emphasize the close relationship with Oracle Data Cloud, the largest third-party marketplace. Nobody else in the industry has that. Nobody has the assets of Oracle Data Cloud and the ability to take third-party data and enrich first-party data the way we can with that. So the example I like to give is, if you're an automobile company and you have built a first-party system and somebody arrives at your website, you want to know, has that person been in the market shopping for cars? And we know that through Oracle Data Cloud, so you can be a lot more responsive, fine-tuned, hyper-personalized, as we were talking about. So that's the Oracle Data Cloud is the second thing. And the third thing I would say is that I think you learn a lot when you have a CRM system for sales. And so I think, again, marketing like Eloqua and CX Unity tied into Oracle Sales Cloud is an important distinction, because the lines between marketing and sales are blurring, particularly in digital sales.
Yes, sir.
And so I don't think a competitor who doesn't have a sales system can possibly see as much of the end-to-end as we can.
Well, keep in mind, they do have Microsoft Dynamics sales.
They do have Microsoft Dynamics, and from what I understand, it's a good relationship.
Yes.
But I always say, partnerships, as good as they are, is not the same as having two engineering
Right.
teams in the
Fair
same
enough.
building.
Fair enough.
So those would be the distinctions.
All right, we know you're a busy man.
I appreciate
There's a lot more for you to
Yeah.
do with this,
Yeah.
this conference.
Did I do well enough to get invited
Oh,
back
God,
to
yeah.
another
Well,
one?
I
Well,
saw-
wait, we gotta ask, we know you like the Dubs.
Yeah.
Do you happen to like any Boston sports teams?
I do like Boston sports teams. So I went to school, you know, in
Okay.
that area, so
You're
I,
treading on thin ice, I just
You
want
gotta,
to know.
Yeah,
it
okay.
depends on how you answer this question.
Yeah, I like the Celtics, I
Okay.
do.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's-
I'm
so
not I am a, you know, Oracle just named the new park in San Francisco, so I guess if I wasn't a Giants fan, I am now.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, no, not the Red Sox.
What
What
about
about-
football?
Yeah, we're going to
Football-
football here.
No, I mean, my football team is the Oakland Raiders. I'm an East
Okay.
Bay
Oh my
guy.
God, now you
That's-
just,
that's
you're
fine.
gonna
Yeah.
move here now? Is that-
I don't know, I'm thinking about it. We'll
Walk
That's
see.
right through
fine.
the airport, you'll see their booth.
We'll
You-
see,
the
I saw,
worst-
I have a view from my hotel room of their
It's the worst
stadium,
thing.
so,
And
yeah.
with that last answer, you earned your way back
Back.
onto
Right.
the
And I-
plane.
you
By
know
the
what?
way, shout out for the NetSuite jacket you got on, I love that.
This is one of the best
Great
things we've
company,
gotten,
great
absolutely.
company, it's awesome that it's inside of Oracle now.
By the
It's a
way,
great
you
set
know,
of
the
products.
standard you have to live up when it comes to analysts with Nets, because of NetSuite, because of, actually, someone is no longer at it, which is Mei Lee, who you know.
Yeah,
They had the best analyst swag in history.
yeah.
They used to
All
give us
right.
like iPad
I'll
minis.
take that as a challenge.
There it
iPad
is.
minis and bottles of, I'm not kidding, iPad minis and bottles of Cakebread Cellars wine, Cakebread
Okay,
Cellars wine.
I can do the cake bread, I gotta think about the menu.
That's what I'm
but
saying,
that's
the
good,
cost
yeah.
that they put
Yeah.
the bucks into it.
All right,
You know, Oracle did fine too. Remember, there was a time where we went to the Giants game.
That's right, you
So-
took us all to the San
well,
Francisco Giants game.
that might be able to happen, so let's stay
There it is.
tuned
All
on
right.
that.
We're
yeah.
gonna leave it at
Yeah.
that.
Well, that's right,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
yeah.
good place to leave
Good,
this.
yeah, thanks a
All right.
lot.
Well,
guys.
thanks for
Okay.
having us.
And
We
be
really appreciate
prepared for Rob Tarkoff, the sequel.
it. Yes.
Oh, thanks.
we'll be
All right.
back.
In the
Awesome.
meantime, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players. We'll see you next time.